Hello guys, welcome back to Gage Football. Here's our live match reaction to England nil, Scotland nil at Wembley Stadium. Uh, yeah, not a lot to talk. See, I'm struggling already. Yeah, goalless draw, Battle of Britain. Subscribe to
Battle of Britain.
Battle of Britain. Subscribe to Gage Football if you're new, and leave your match thoughts, comments, whether you're an England fan or Scottish fan in the live chat. It'd be great to read those. I'm joined by John. Thanks for joining, mate. Your thoughts on that 0-0 overall?
Mate, the way that both you and I are feeling, I don't think we're going to get time to read the comments. I don't think it's going to be very long.
No, true.
But all jokes aside, it was a waste of time. It really, really was. I thought we started very well. We were all over them, just couldn't score. But to sum it up, I would have rather you know me well enough, mate. I've known you for almost like the last couple of years now. You know that a watch along is the big part of my channel, and I'm just sitting thinking I should be at the pub. I really should. But everyone else was tonight by the looks of things. But yeah,
exactly, mate. Well, I mean, Scotland definitely, Scottish fans definitely have probably been there the whole weekend, haven't they? So they definitely, or the last few days, have definitely will be there tonight. But yeah, fair play to Scotland. I thought, England were lethargic. I think throughout, the odd bright spell occasionally when you think, we're going to get ahead of steam and create a few chances, and it just didn't happen for us tonight. Scotland, fair play to them. Another day, they win tonight.
Absolutely, and I said it quite a fair bit that Scotland were the better side. They were the better side. They generally were, and it was that's a big point for Steve Clarke. It's a big point. They just the only difference is if Shea Adams had his shooting boots on tonight, they're winning that 2 or 3-0. They are genuinely winning that. A lot have, I mean, what was that in the second half? I know we'll come on to it in a bit, but that it gilded opportunity, and it just scuffs off the side of his boot in the second half, and it just sums up, like as I said in the watch along, that scrap for the ball with like 50 seconds to go sums the entire 90 minutes up. It was just everyone trying to get there, but nothing was happening.
Yeah, scrappy and short quality in a lot of areas actually. So let's try and sum up. I know it was I've seen better goalless draws, but I've seen worse as well. So yeah, it was. But from Scotland point of view, I think that you could even argue it's a missed opportunity for them because they lost the first game to the Czech Republic, and they needed to not lose, and which they did so. But it goes to the Croatia game for them. So, but no, I think all credit to. Here we go. Thanks for Ryan Parker for Southgate out. I think it's a little bit premature.
It's a little bit, mate. Yeah, Kane out. I agree with. He was fucking useless again. The thing is that when we played Croatia, we were all buzzing because of the whole World Cup semi-final thing and whatnot. But if you take that out of the equation, we've really rode our luck these last two games. We really have. We were very fortunate to get that goal against Croatia. Don't get me wrong, as we all know that Croatia weren't at the races in any shape or form. But Scotland were terrible against the Czech Republic. They absolutely ruled them. Soufal absolutely ruled his right-hand side against Scotland. And it's worrying. It's really, really worrying with the tactics that are being put out. But having said that, as I said in the live stream, it's the players who've got to take responsibility for it. You can only point the fingers at Southgate all you want, and I'm sure a lot of people will do over the next 3 or 4 days. But he's only responsible for putting the players out and giving them the tactics and making the substitutions at the times. I mean, I'm sure we'll come on to the substitutions as well. But I'm very disappointed with that performance. I say Kane was practically invisible. He did more in the midfield than he did in the attacking thirds. I think the only real spark from the game, really. I mean, Rice played okay, but I genuinely can't think of anybody that had a really for England that had a really standout performance.
I'd say Pickford was our best player.
That's the worrying thing.
Mm,
As good as Pickford is, and you were trying to wire me up about Sam Johnston as well, was it?
I had to get that in there, didn't I?
After that save, yeah, I knew you were going to say something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what, mate? We had fuck all else to talk about.
Well, exactly. Yeah, apart from what Scotland are doing. So,
but yeah, no, he did everything. I mean, that save was the first thing he did. For over an hour, pretty much, wasn't it? Almost an hour.
Well, no, we'll come on to the game. But he had a brilliant save from Stephen O'Donnell in the first half after half hour. One of the better chances in the game. So let's talk. Yeah. Let's go through the game as much as we can with the limited stuff that I wrote down.
I've had a 5-minute rant already, mate. So we might as well just try and get to the game at some point.
But it was a real bright opening. From both sides, but particularly Scotland, as you'd probably expect, and obviously a derby and a match they needed to at least get something from. And as you mentioned, they were really, I think they were way better tonight. I mean, something I wrote down at half time was where was the Scotland side in the opening game, and they were really poor. I think Robertson had a chance against the Czech Republic, but and had the odd chance, but their general performance was really mediocre, I think. So with tonight, they looked a good side. They belied their world ranking, whatever it is, 40th in the world, 50th, whatever it is. They played a lot better than they played better than what Croatia did against us. I think we made Croatia look pretty average. And Scotland looked like the team that were way for Croatia, 14th in the world, I think it is. So, but yeah, it was a bright start. Che Adams, he was in from the start, and I think he had a decent game, apart from a couple of missed chances, but he played pretty well. Mount had a shot that was deflected wide for England, and a couple of times just sort of the opening quarter where with Scott McTominay, who's obviously Man United midfielder, but he was playing at sort of a right centre back tonight, and he got better as the game got on, but he was very shaky early on, and you could see England were targeting that left hand side where he was playing. Sterling nicked the ball off him a couple of times. It led to he played it to Mount, who just shot wide. It was obviously really close to the goal, but decent effort, which went wide, and a couple of chances for England but were offside. But sort of about 25 minutes or so, the game sort of settled down after that frantic start, which was to be expected. Yep. And it's sort of similar to England's game against Croatia, where obviously the conditions were a lot different. So I was chucking it down tonight rather than it was brilliant, Caribbean weather, sunshine, wasn't it, on Sunday? So, but slowed down. But then it comes to that chance for that great save from Pickford from a volley, first time volley by Stephen O'Donnell, who played really well, right wing back for Scotland, and it was coming from a Kieran Tierney cross, and it looked all for the matter that it was going to go in, and he pulled the save out of nowhere. Absolutely,
that was the hand save you're talking about, wasn't it?
Yeah, with his right hand, yeah.
And it was, it was a very, very good. It was kind of like you said, it was petering out after a little bit. Both teams sort of slowed down is an understatement. I mean, I've blinked quicker than some of the players who are out there. To be fair,
sorry, John, I completely forgot. This is how much not a lot happened in the game. I missed something where Stones hit the post, didn't he? After about 11-12 minutes.
Yes, the header. Yeah. Very, very good chance. Foden was harsh to rule that out. His offside, as we were talking about at the time, but he was 100%. It was honestly bloody hell! How bloody high did John Stones leap? 5.5 foot, 6 foot, by the looks of it. He's clearing everybody, isn't he? Literally.
I think if we've been a bit hypercritical, he is unmarked. Yeah. So he probably should have buried it, but I think it was just behind him.
Yeah.
Which is always difficult to sort of obviously manoeuvre your body into a position where you can hit it on target. But at first, it looked like he was surrounded by defenders, but
you look at
on the replay, he had the penalty box himself. So you could say he probably should have scored. But to be honest, mate, that was probably our best chance of the. Judging by a second, I probably our best chance of the entire match.
And when it happened, I almost said it. I almost said that was a chance of the game. I almost said it even then, that early on. I went the chance of I'm not saying it, but it was a stone wall. Again, like with Foden's attempt against Croatia, an inch the other way and it's whacked.
Yeah.
It's a great goal. But as I say, Phillips has taking the namesake out of the equation, Phillips has really impressed me over the last couple of games. The mid out of every of the things we can praise about. I mean, Dennis has made quite a good point. That was a good game from Mings.
Yeah, he's defied his critics, me being one of them. So yeah,
absolutely. I think for the Croatia game, the midfield was immense. Absolutely,
it was
perfect. Today, the midfield was still good. Mount was trying as best as he could. Phillips was getting around all over the place. Rice, like you said, he had a bit of a shaky start to begin with, but built, grew in confidence after it. I thought, the Stones, I thought had a now I'm calming down. Everything's coming back to me now. I thought Mings had an okay game, and one of the guys over in the was watching in the US was questioning Mings straight away. But kind of pittled down the further we got into the game. Stones, very, very good game. Very, very happy to see Reece James. I thought he did very, very well. Really did very well. Wasn't involved in that much of the game up until towards the end of the second half, but was very, very key. Luke Shaw played very, very well. It's Kane for me. It's Kane, and I mean Sterling tried his best as he always does, but he looked like he was doing better than he was for certain things. But I just feel Foden coming off was harsh. I think that was really harsh. Foden. I'm thinking about it. I think our right hand side was probably the best out of the whole lot. That we did a lot of things, a lot of good movements down there, a lot of good thoughts and processes down there, and as I say, but at least we didn't lose it. That's the main thing.
Well, yeah, no, that's a great point, mate. And it's one of them where if you don't win the game, and if you're second best, yeah, I'd probably say we were in large spells, and if you're not playing to your full potential, which obviously we were nowhere near tonight, and not even as good as the Croatia game, way below that, I'd say. If you can't win the game, don't lose it. And
exactly.
Sometimes you just got shit house at 0-0, which is I'd say we did. So just finishing up on the first, I think it's probably a theme throughout the game, mate. I think England were far too slow in possession. Didn't create a load of chances in the Croatia game, but you felt there was more to come from us, and we completely regressed tonight. Look, completely. I wouldn't say all at sea. That's probably a bit harsh, but I think
I wouldn't say fatigued either, because the gap's been a week. I mean, you were right. We looked fatigued, but the gap's been a week. If this was Premier League, no fan would be happy with that performance whatsoever. Saying it's been 5 days after blah blah blah. It's just something wasn't right, and I can't put my finger on it.
I think the players were taking too many touches, John. Yeah, far too many.
You did make that comment, definitely. That's one side of it. I mean, and again, sorry to jump in ahead because we're talking about the second half now.
No, that's all right. Yeah,
but as I say, there's not much to talk about. But
exactly, we're clutching it. Here's some straws. We're clutching at them. You know what I mean?
Why straws? Fucking the whole barrel of hay, mate. Is really the point. But that is why? And I said it during the live stream as well. Why did Tyrone Mings try a bicycle kick or overhead kick, or however you want to look at it? Why did he try that? I was like, really? Come on. But yeah, it just wasn't the be. As I said, it was the. No, we'll come on to that. We'll talk about that when we wrap the game up. Come on, mate. Let's talk about the second half now.
Yeah, I think especially towards the end of the first half, I think Scotland kept the ball really well. Got some dangerous crosses. Andy Robertson, his deliveries from crosses from last sort of 3 seasons at Liverpool, and captain let excellent game. Thought he was one of the best players on the pitch for me. But start 0-0 half time, and I said it on your watch along, John. I think a few others agreed that if it didn't improve at the start of the second half, some subs had to be made. Where it was Grealish, Rashford, Sancho, Calvert-Lewin, whoever it was. And to be fair, we did make some subs, but I'll come on to them in a minute. But at the start of the second half, I thought that was going to be where we'd get ahead of steam, and we'd the first half we'll forget the first half and just come all out. Bit of pace, one touch, two touch, combinations, crosses in the box, be absolutely relentless. Sort of the start. How we started the Croatia game, first 20 minutes, where we didn't score, but we were fucking all at them and deserved to, score in that period. But unfortunately, we didn't. I thought that would be a similar tactic we'd try and use at the start of the second half tonight. And it wasn't quite that way. We did create some sort of chances. Robertson, fantastic clearance from in front of Foden, a good cross by Sterling. Mount had a good effort that was saved by David Marshall. And James on another day that he has a shot that goes in the top corner, just goes over. Yeah. But after that, that was up to sort of the hour mark. And then Scotland, they grew into it, and just as they finished the first half, if anything, they finished the second half the stronger side. Absolutely.
I thought we started off very well in the second half because it was kind of like just go out there and just try it again, and it did. We had the chances, but again, it's just neither side could finish. Yusuf actually made quite a good point at the second half, as much as he likes to try and wind us all up the whole time. He does. But because I give it back to him, I call him a Chelsea git and all that sort of stuff. So it's all good. So, but he did say that McTominay was man of the first half, and I can't disagree with him on that. McTominay he looked a little bit uncomfortable in certain guises throughout the whole of the second half, but. Again, this from an England perspective, this is how bad it's been because we're praising Scotland more than we're criticising the England players.
Yeah, no, well, honestly, if we're talking man of the match, I think Gilmour was excellent before he went off. I thought the whole midfield for Scotland, McGinn, who we know from Aston Villa, I think McGregor, who's I think he's from Celtic, I think he is, Colin McGregor. So I thought the three of them were really good. I think we mentioned him earlier.
Either that or he's the McGregor out of the three blind mice, one of the two.
I mentioned him earlier, Robertson, O'Donnell, and I think even Grant Hanley. He's not the quickest player, but he won every single battle today, Grant Hanley. So, really impressed by a few of the Scotland players. And as I said earlier, where was this in the open? If they play like that tonight against Czech Republic, they beat the Czech Republic, I think.
Absolutely, 100%.
So, I think... I think obviously they won't regret tonight not winning, but I think they'll massively regret the opening game, massively, especially being at home at Hampden Park as well.
I mean, Jesus, you were saying earlier about how Wembley looks Caribbean. Watching Hampden Park today, that looked bloody Caribbean. It was ridiculous. It was opposite. Lovely blue skies, and even what's his name? The co-commentator. What was his name? Anyway, he was even saying, "Hang on, what's this sunshine?"
Dion Dublin.
Dion Dublin, he was saying, "What's this sunshine?" Hang on, I've got my layers on here. But I thought out of the Scotland midfield in general, I thought Billy Gilmour played really well for his debut. Really well. It's a name that's been floating around for over the last few years. Because how good a prospect this kid is, and he's absolutely proven it tonight. But as I said, I thought that Foden coming off was a bit harsh. I thought he was quite creative tonight. Personally, I would have taken Kane off and brought Rashford on instead of taking him off for Foden. Have a more of a slip it into a 4-4-2 sort of thing, because playing it with a 4-2-3-1 as we were doing at certain points in the 4-3-3s we started didn't seem to work. I mean, obviously, Stevie, as everyone all the Scottish commentators call him at the moment, he packed out the midfield. Absolutely great idea. 3-5-2 absolutely worked, and we should have tried to counteract that a little bit with a 4-4-2 in the second half. But having said that, though, I mean, it's one of those sort of cliches that we could have gone on for another 90 minutes and neither side would have scored. It was just deserved point, yes and no. I mean, it is because neither side could finish. But if we'd have lost that to Scotland, I wouldn't be complaining. I'd be disappointed, but I wouldn't be complaining.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, mate. Just before we come on to a few Scotland chances, I think for me, what's concerning tonight is if we come up against that sort of formation later in the tournament, because I thought, talk about we're as I mentioned, clutching at straws in terms of England chances. The best one with John Stones from a set piece. So in terms of open play, there wasn't a lot. Hopefully, it's our bad performance out of the way. But I just fear that if we come up against another side who plays wing backs, who have 10 players beyond the ball a lot of the time, Where was the creativity? I mean, Grealish come on for Foden, as you mentioned. You know, he tried to get on the ball, but it just had a load of players around him. And again, you know, even Grealish, he took so many touches. And so it's hardly anyone from England's point of view tonight, maybe Phillips aside, where they played one touch or one touch to get out your feet, quick pass.
Yeah.
Hardly anyone. Even Rice, I'd say, but he's a holding midfielder. Where was our attacking players? Where were the overlaps? Hardly any of that tonight.
Exactly, and not just that, mate. Again, as you know, before we came towards the end of the first half, I was getting a little bit colourful, shall we say? And and I was, it was static football. There was so much space that Scotland could have had throughout the entire game. It was like, maybe it genuinely looked like a lot of our players. Sterling, for one, as much as he tried, towards the end of that first half, he was jogging about quite a fair bit, kind of like, well, maybe someone else is going to take this ball. How many interceptions did we do? Hardly any. I don't. It's a big bugbear of mine. It's the same from a West Ham level as well. Always saying interceptions, spacing, interceptions. Just try second balls for that matter.
Yeah.
It's the repetitive. I don't know genuinely if it's just because it's English players, because I've been watching some of the other games as well, and obviously tomorrow, hopefully on Sunday we'll be able to do the Italy game. That's going to be really, really spicy.
Yeah, look forward to that.
And I guarantee, mate, we will not be talking about no interceptions, no tackles at right times, players standing off each other, because was it Italy, Spain, isn't it?
No, I'll have a look. It's definitely
anyway. But
Italy playing, yeah.
It's sorry, Italy, Wales. That's it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be way more entertaining than tonight. You can guarantee it. Wales have done all right, just not really getting the results they could have done. But having said that, at the same point, coming back to this, it's just how bad it is. I'm trying to find everything else to try and talk about, but it is. I don't want to be jumping on the bandwagon and say, we've had one okay game, we've had one shit game. Because I say take that goal, that Sterling goal out of Croatia. That was a poor performance. And like you said, mate, our set pieces we're hoping and praying that a fucking centre back scores. When we've got Harry Kane, who's won the Golden Boot at the World Cup, granted because we had an easy run in the build up, apart from playing Belgium twice, and he got the Golden Boot for the Premier League. And yet, we're 2 goals in, he's done fuck all. I'm sorry, he's done absolutely fuck all.
Yeah, I was going to ask on Kane, John, because for me, I don't know if he's carrying an injury. He looked, every time he tried to get away from play, his agility was shot to pieces. Like, it looks like he was running in treacle, or do you know what I mean? So I don't know if he's carrying an injury or like he's got a knock in training or something. And the ways, I wouldn't say as bad, but his performances for England at the moment remind me of the last Euros. 2016 Euros. Obviously, the World Cup was absolutely brilliant, but that Euros, like, obviously there was the infamous taking corners, but his general play was rubbish. And tonight, I'll forgive him a little bit for the Croatia game, but tonight was a real concern. I mean, when would you take off Kane normally with 15 minutes to go? So,
well, this is it. I mean, this was about the bold substitution you were talking about in the chat, mate, when we were watching the game.
Yeah,
Southgate didn't do it. And even the commentators were saying, "There's bringing Grealish on as a bit of a weird one. Why not bring on Calvert-Lewin?" That's the majority of. I'm guaranteed that's the majority of what the country was saying. Either bring on Rashford as a number 9, or bring on Calvert-Lewin, or even have Sterling in a false number 9. It was massively clear. I really hope that Southgate gets the same balls that he did when he first started, when he dropped Rooney, because he wasn't playing all that well.
Joe Hart, etc. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, just drop the players that aren't playing well. I mean, don't get me wrong, Kane tried, but he did fuck all with it. That was the thing. There was a few tackles here and there in midfield that was very, very handy that he does. He always does that, but personally, I'd rather see Kane on the bench, because if he is carrying a knock and he hasn't told Southgate, or this whole contract thing with Spurs is hanging over his head, it could be one of the two. I'm hoping it's the former rather than the latter, because if it's a contract thing, man, he's fucked for the season. For the tournament. Drop him. have Calvert-Lewin up front and have him on the bench and bring him on as a super sub if he is carrying a knock that he hasn't declared yet.
Yeah, and I think we only made the 2 subs tonight as well. Is it just where was Sancho?
Where was Bellingham? Do you know what I mean? It was just again, and likewise with the Croatia game, 24-man squad. Why couldn't you call 2 people up on emergency to cover the 2 that he's waiting to bring in? It's just he said it himself. This was the ones that he thought were available, and so it was and to quote him, it was a shame we could only do 24 of the 26. I was like, well, because I said to you, Bill, when we did the preview, that I hope that those decisions don't backfire for him, but they kind of are. They are. Having a 24-man squad because you're waiting to hear on Henderson and Harry Maguire. It's a big risk, and I'm literally 180 degrees from how we talked about this 2 weeks ago. Because I said I hope that doesn't hang over his head, but for me, it really is already. It really is. I can understand to a degree why he didn't bring on Calvert-Lewin and brought on Rashford instead, because Rashford's got a bit more experience and blah 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 blah.
Got pace as well.
Yeah, pace. Not that Calvert-Lewin's slow by any chance of the imagination, but stretch of the imagination. But again, like I said when we did the preview, I wanted to have something that was an unknown quantity. Playing Calvert-Lewin is an unknown quantity. Yeah,
agreed.
Steve Clarke's not gonna know to a degree the abilities of Calvert-Lewin, because as from an outsider's point of view, he's hardly seen him. Whereas he would have seen Rashford quite a lot, because obviously, being on Man United's a player and all that sort of stuff, and and you need to have that unknown quantities, which is why we were talking about if we got a win tonight. The Czech Republic game is the perfect game for Johnson, because we'll be through no matter what.
Yeah.
I mean, technically we still are through no matter what, but obviously depending on how the other game goes. But at the same point, you shouldn't be playing. What was it? Danny said, is it? Are we holding off so we can get out of the?
I disagree with that. I think it was just an off night. It was just an off night, and I think the problem with. Yeah, I mentioned that 2 players, too many touches. It was too slow. There was no overlaps. There was hardly any crosses. Hardly any crosses to speak of.
And the corners were terrible as well for that.
Corners were rubbish. So I can't fault the effort, but I'm not being funny. That's what you expect from England national team. That's the least you expect. But I mean, it's just no combinations, no 1-2s. Hardly, even Grealish, trying to take on players, but then he had no support. Do you know what I mean? It was just hopefully it's our shit performance of the tournament out of the way. Hopefully we can, I'd rather obviously peak towards the end, which is obviously the aim. But it's some warning signs for us. Let's go through a couple of Scotland chances quickly. So Dykes had the shot that was, I think it was from a corner. It might have been going just wide, but Reece James, brilliant. I think he had a good performance. Reece James, you mentioned earlier, mate. He wanted to know he was going wide, so he got in the position, headed it wide. Luke Shaw had an effort, good play between him and Mason Mount, shot outside his left foot. Right idea, but just poor execution. But then he had a big chance, mate. You mentioned it earlier. I think it's about 12 minutes to go. Che Adams, he actually shanked it wide. England failed to clear. I think it might be Rice who actually gave it away. Bad from a West Ham point of view. Great delivery by Robertson, not for the first time tonight. And Stones, he headed it on, unfortunately, and he ended up with Adams. And just when you think that's going to be going in there, he shot wide. Yeah,
with that Che Adams chance, who was trying to defend it?
Rice, was it, or Mings?
Grealish.
Was it?
Grealish was about half a yard in front of him, sliding in. When it scuffed it, so he wasn't to know, but he was the only one. And like you're saying, with the support, with Sterling's attack in the first half, second half I should say, running down that side of the pitch, there's no one around him. And we were talking about this as well for what was it for England when for Croatia. Foden running, going, guys, where are you? When he was something's amiss. I don't want to criticise Southgate too much because we're only 2 games in out of the 4 and blah 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 blah. But yeah, you're right. There's big worrying signs that have to be resolved really quickly. Because I say, because the next game's on Tuesday. It's on Tuesday night. Literally, literally 4 days from 4 days from now, we'll be sitting here having. I'm hope we're not going to be having the same conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it's 4 days to correct those mistakes, and it's a very, very short period of time to do so. Very short period.
I think yeah, exactly, man. I think tonight's one of those where like it's a classic. You don't get too down when you play. Look, we haven't lost tonight. We've drawn, but like don't get too despondent if you play poorly, which we have, or don't get too high. Like if you play well and win, it's one of them. So let's go to the comments quickly. Thanks, Daniel. Rice needs to be trotted. I think it's a bit harsh, mate. I think
you need to justify that, mate, if you don't mind.
I have to disagree, mate. But thanks anyway. But what do you make of just quickly? What do you make of Phillips? I think he's obviously your namesake, John. But yeah, I think he played well again tonight. I thought.
Well, unlike my namesake, mate, I've got a better haircut than he has. That's for sure. I don't know what he's doing that Predator job going on at the minute, but
speak for yourself, mate. No, I'm joking.
Oh yeah, let's compare hairlines, son, shall we? Yeah,
yours look lovely. Yeah.
Well, honest, I think he's been a breath of fresh air from an England point of view. He's played the 2 fixtures he's done, and likewise when he played the friendly, the Romanian friendly, if I remember correctly, as well. He's been very, very good. Nice to have Mark's in. Nice to see Supersonic.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, either by the sounds of it, but no, it's I think he's done really, really well. He's like I said, he's a breath of fresh air, and I'll be very, very keen to see what he does on Tuesday. Very keen.
I definitely just I think we've exhausted as much as we can out of that 0-0. So we've done well to do half hour, mate. But
as usual, Youssef turns up right at the end. But to be fair, he was straight on it for the watch along. He was right. He was one of the first people on, so that was quite good. He doesn't normally do it, but yeah.
It was So just quickly looking ahead to Tuesday, mate. Would you make many changes?
I would, but I wouldn't, if you know what I mean. Part of me is saying make the changes to as I said, to drop the players that haven't been performing well over the last couple of games. Kane for one. Yeah. Having said that, because if we want to top the group, then we're going to have to beat him at least 2-0. If I remember correctly, because of the goal differences and whatnot. Because us and the Czech Republic are both on 4 points at the minute.
Yeah.
And what's the goal difference? It's a couple of goals each, isn't it? I think.
Well, it doesn't matter if we beat them; it's irrelevant, obviously, because we have more points.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's just like I'd rather if we get a draw, we'll finish second. So we've got to try and go out with a mentality of beating. I should say, go out with a mentality of saying 2-0, get it done. I do worry. You and I know how well Souček's been playing. For West Ham and how well he's been playing for the Czech Republic. We know how well Soufal's been doing.
Yeah, they both played well so far. Tournament.
And Schick as well, for that matter. We're really going to have to keep an eye on that guy. Golden, he's is it 3 goals in 2 games now?
3 goals, yeah.
And he's unpredictable, and that's what I'm saying. Nobody would have predicted that second goal that he scored against Scotland. No way in a million years. And that's the thing. There's there are other players in it. There's Alex Krul, which as we all know, we've had. I can see you thinking behind that, Mark. Yeah, yeah, I can see you thinking. Don't agree with it, but I can see you thinking. But no, as I say, Alex Krul, as I said, he's been really been hyped up, and we've seen him what he's like. He's not had that too good a game so far.
Yeah.
So maybe we might dodge a bullet if he doesn't get signed for West Ham, or maybe who knows. But anyway, that's for another time in a couple of months. But yeah, I do worry. As Danny made a very good joke in the live chat, saying we need Grealish for the dives that he's going to put in against Soufal. So maybe that's Mark's thinking, but over it as well, for that matter. But it is. It's. I'm worried. I did when we had the preview. I said that, and I said it tonight earlier as well, that Croatia was the only team I was worried about. Now I'm completely opposite to that. I'm now more worried about how the Czech Republic are going to be.
Yeah, good shout. Yeah, wouldn't disagree with that. And let's quickly go to the comments before we finish up. Thanks, Yusuf. Gilmore took man of the match. How was he, in your opinion, JP? But I thought he played really well. What did you think he did, mate?
What, Billy Gilmore?
Yeah.
As I say, we mentioned earlier, he was had an unbelievably very good, very very good debut, and you can see why everyone's been raving about him over the last couple of years.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. All right. Well, thanks for joining, mate. Anything else you want to touch on before we finish up?
No, not really, man. I mean,
I think we've done well to squeeze 35 minutes.
Mate, we squeeze about a litre out of those 2 drops of water. We really have, but no. And I'll do it before you cut me off this time, guys. Right. like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you do, because Bill works bloody hard, as we all do, and him and the rest of the guys, with the exception of Dennis, need no, these guys need, they deserve, I should say, a lot more subscribers than they currently are.
Thanks a lot, John. I'll make sure I won't cut you off this time. All right. Well, thanks for joining, mate. Much appreciated. Thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe to Gage Football if you're new, and like this video if you enjoyed it. And we'll see you for the watch along for the Czech Republic game on Tuesday. We'll see you then. Take care.